The history of the Al-Aqsa Mosque is a rich tapestry woven with threads of religious significance, architectural marvels, and geopolitical complexities. Situated in the heart of the old city of Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa Mosque is not only a place of worship for Muslims but also a site with deep historical roots. Its construction in its current form was commenced by the Umayyad Caliph Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan. The building was completed during the reign of his son, Al-Walid ibn Abd al-Malik. Again, this edifice is a part of the blessed Aqsa Mosque and must not be referred to as Al-Aqsa Mosque itself. The construction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque dates back to the 7th century. Following the Islamic tradition, atop the mihrab arch is a lengthy inscription in gold directly linking the Al-Aqsa Mosque with Muhammad's night journey from the Masjid al-Haram to the Masjid al-Aqsa. It marked the first instance of this Quranic verse being inscribed in Jerusalem, leading Grabar to hypothesize that it was an official move by the Fatimids to magnify the site's sacred character. The Dome of the Rock was completed in 691 CE. Over the centuries, the Al-Aqsa Mosque became a focal point of Islamic worship and scholarship. Jerusalem, under various Islamic caliphates, witnessed the flourishing of a vibrant cultural and intellectual scene within the precincts of the mosque. It served as a center for learning, attracting scholars and theologians from across the Islamic world. Jerusalem was captured by the Crusaders in 1099. During the First Crusade, they named the mosque Templum Solomonis. While the Dome of the Rock was turned into a Christian church under the care of the Augustinians, the Al-Aqsa Mosque was used as a royal palace and also as a stable for horses. After the Ayyubids under the leadership of Saladin reconquered Jerusalem following the siege of 1187, several repairs and renovations were undertaken at Al-Aqsa Mosque. In order to prepare the mosque for Friday prayers, within a week of his capture of Jerusalem, Saladin had the toilets and grain stores installed by the Crusaders at Al-Aqsa removed, the floors covered with precious carpets, and its interior scented with rose water and incense. Nur ad-Din's minbar was added to the mosque in November 1187 by Saladin. After the Ottomans assumed power in 1517, they did not undertake any major renovations or repairs to the mosque itself, but they did to the noble sanctuary as a whole. This included the building of the Fountain of Qasim Pasha, the restoration of the Pool of Raranj, and the building of 3 freestanding domes, the most notable being the Dome of the Prophet built in 1538. The Ottomans, in particular, undertook extensive renovations, leaving an indelible mark on the complex. Currently, the administrative body responsible for the whole Al-Aqsa Mosque compound is known as the Jerusalem Waqf, an organ of the Jordanian government. The Jerusalem Waqf is responsible for administrative matters in the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Religious authority on the site, on the other hand, is the responsibility of the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, appointed by the government of the State of Palestine. Ownership of the Al-Aqsa Mosque is a contentious issue in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. During the negotiations at the 2000 Camp David Summit, Palestinians demanded complete ownership of the mosque and other Islamic holy sites in East Jerusalem. Muslims who are residents of Israel or visiting the country, and Palestinians living in East Jerusalem are normally allowed to enter the Temple Mount and pray at Al-Aqsa Mosque without restrictions. The Israeli government occasionally prevents certain groups of Muslims from reaching Al-Aqsa by blocking the entrances to the complex. The restrictions vary from time to time. At times, restrictions have prevented all men under 50 and women under 45 from entering, but married men over 45 are allowed. Sometimes the restrictions are enforced on the occasion of Friday prayers. Until 2000, non-Muslim visitors could enter the Al-Aqsa Mosque by getting a ticket from the Waqf. That procedure ended when the Second Intifada began. Over 2 decades later, the Waqf still hopes negotiations between Israel and Jordan may result in allowing visitors to enter once again. In February 2007, the department started to excavate a site for archaeological remains in a location where the government wanted to rebuild a collapsed pedestrian bridge leading to the Maghrabi Gate, the only entrance for non-Muslims into the Temple Mount complex. This site was 60 meters away from the mosque. The excavations provoked anger throughout the Islamic world, and Israel was accused of trying to destroy the foundation of the mosque. Ismail Haniyeh, then Prime Minister of the Palestinian National Authority and Hamas leader, called on Palestinians to unite to protest the excavations, while Fatah said they would end their ceasefire with Israel. Israel denied all charges against them, calling them ludicrous. In April 2021, during both Passover and Ramadan, the site was a focus of tension between Israeli settlers and Palestinians. Jewish settlers broke an agreement between Israel and Jordan and performed prayers and read from the Torah inside the compound, an area normally off-limits to non-Muslims. On the 14th of April, Israeli police entered the area and forcibly cut wires to speakers in minarets around the mosque, silencing the call to prayer, claiming the sound was interfering with an event by the Israeli president at the Western Wall. On the 16th of April, 70,000 Muslims prayed in the compound around the mosque, the largest gathering since the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Police barred most from entering the structure itself. In May 2021, hundreds of Palestinians were injured following clashes in the compound after reports of Israel's intention to proceed to evict Palestinians from land claimed by Israeli settlers. On the 15th of April 2022, Israeli forces entered the Temple Mount and used tear gas shells and sound bombs to disperse Palestinians who, they said, were throwing stones at policemen. Some Palestinians barricaded themselves inside the Al-Aqsa Mosque, where they were detained by Israeli police. Over 150 people ended up injured and 400 arrested. On April 5, 2023, Israeli police raided the temple, saying agitators who had thrown stones and fired fireworks at the police had barricaded themselves and worshippers inside. Following the incident, militants fired rockets from Gaza into southern Israel. The Israel-Gaza conflict is worsening day by day, with the United Nations struggling to call for a ceasefire between the conflict. A doctor inside Al-Shifa hospital has told Al Jazeera the Israeli army has given the hospital 1 hour to evacuate. At least 26 Palestinians, mostly children, have been killed in an Israeli bombardment of Khan Younis city in South Gaza, Palestinian news agency Wafa reports.